Welcome to Outside the Op, where dentist owners come together to share the cool things they do when they're not being a dentist. It's all about life outside the dental practice. In each episode, we'll dive into the ways these practice owners find their thing, the fuel that helps them balance the stressors and demands of running a business while being an amazing dentist. I'm Paula Parker from The Profitable Dentist, and I'd like to take you outside the op. Hi, and welcome. Paula Parker here with another episode of Outside the Op. Today's guest, I'm very excited about, Dr. Bianca Velayo. She's an award-winning dentist and multi-practice owner from Henderson, Nevada. Bianca holds a BS in biopsychology. Bianca, we're going to have to talk about that a little bit. And earned her DMD both from Tufts University. She's been practicing dentistry since 2015, and she's the proud wife of a very talented and interesting rock musician and mother of two sweet little boys. Bianca, welcome to Outside the Op. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Paula, for having me. I'm excited to be here and share my story.
Yay, and I'm very excited to help you tell it. So I want to start out today talking a little bit about you as a dentist, and then we're going to roll over into you as Bianca. Tell us a little bit about your journey into dentistry. How did you become a dentist?
So my family immigrated here from the Philippines. And so I think like most parents, who immigrant parents who come and they want their children to pursue the American dream. And what that means to us truly is just take advantage of the education system. So I was really fortunate to have really supportive family members, and I was good at school, So when you're a straight A student in school, and you have parents that are super supportive, they're encouraging you to join the healthcare field. And so I thought at the time that I wanted to become a pediatrician because I had a really wonderful pediatrician, female self-practice owner and someone I could look up to. And in high school, we had to do a project, and you had to present on a career that you wanted to be. At the time, I was too shy to interview my pediatrician. And so our family friend was a dentist, and I had an upcoming dental appointment. And so we drove like 40 minutes from our home to go see our family friend who is a dentist, and we'd all have our dental appointment the same day, and we'd be there for a couple hours. And so I used it as the perfect opportunity to interview our dentist. And I was so inspired by our dentist. She was also a Filipino woman, mom, practice owner. I got to see all the ways that she was able to interact with her patients, and it opened my eyes to what dentistry could be. And so I wanted to pursue it deeper. And the more that I learned about dentistry, I fell in love with it because it allowed me to combine all my passions. I love science, I love learning, and so I can be a doctor. I love people. I think most people join healthcare because they want to help people. And so I have the opportunity to do that. And with dentistry, we can actually transform lives rather than just prescribing medications. And I really didn't realize that I had the entrepreneurial bug, but that's something I love right now. And, I always view dentistry as like the underdog healthcare career, you see the Hangover movies and you're like, you're not a real doctor. And so I just felt like with my passion and excitement and energy that dentistry could benefit from someone who was excited and can advocate for it. And it's been so cool to watch my career grow. And I'd like to think I'm fulfilling my childhood dream.
That's awesome. Number one, you're in the backyard of where The Hangover was filmed. So there you go, right? It's really interesting to me too about how many of my guests talk about the influence of their dentist going through life with their childhood dentist, and how influential that person was in their determining that they wanted to go into dentistry. So that's really interesting to me. I do love what you said when you shared your story with me. You said you felt like dentistry was an underdog, as you mentioned, in healthcare, and you wanted to become a champion for the profession and help highlight the importance of oral health and how it relates to oral systemic health. And you have done just that. I do want to take a minute for you to talk a little bit about your Instagram series, Oral Health Minute.
Yeah. So when I graduated dental school in 2015 and started working in the real world, I was, my mind was blown. I thought that I didn't realize that case acceptance was so difficult, because you're in school. And so patients, say yes because it's more affordable. And then
Yeah.
your faculty is there to help you treatment plan. And so it's just sort of like plug and chug and do the procedures. But in private practice, patients have a choice. And I had to learn quickly how to relate to my patients and educate my patients, so that I can gain their trust and present things in a clear way that they understand, that's not intimidating. And so I really had to learn again, how to talk to patients. And so that's when I was inspired to create Oral Health Minute based on my own experience and my own journey, because I love analogies. I love, finding different ways that I can, visually or, explain things to my patients in a way that they understand the procedure. So for example, like I love saying, you can't just say you have periodontal disease and you need scaling and root planing for a patient, right? They're like, you just threw a lot of dental terminology out and I have no
Yeah.
idea what that means.
Yeah.
And so I like to tell patients that they have gum disease, it's an infection. There are barnacles of bacteria that are building up below the gum line. And so the way to treat it is we're going to remove all of that bacteria. And so they understand that better, and it's drawing to them, and so now they know that I'm speaking to them on their level, because patients don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Yeah. Coming from corporate healthcare in my previous life, one of the things we worked on and focused on with health literacy levels, where we don't realize we talk the lingo and we talk the talk, and we don't realize that patients or healthcare members, for that matter, they don't understand what we're saying. And with any bad or negative customer experience, you know how when you call a company and they're telling you everything in their language that's gone on wrong to prevent them from helping you on their side, and you're like, I don't care. So meeting people where they're at when they're in your chair and talking to them in a way that they understand and can decide for themselves that, yes, I need to do something about this. Yes, I need to be adherent. All those good things. So applaud you for doing that. That's awesome. I
Thank
do
you.
want to move into practice ownership and how that impacts stress levels for you day to day. What right now is your biggest challenge as a practice owner?
So I'm so fortunate and blessed. I've owned my practice since 2016, and I'm proud that we were growing it to the point that we had the opportunity to expand. So this past February, I doubled the size of my practice, and to serve, like that's such a proud testament to the community that we're serving, that they really trust us. And so that was so exciting. But now big office, big problems,
Mm.
bigger team, so it's just more people to manage. The hardest part about dentistry is just managing people. And it's because I truly take my responsibility as a practice owner very seriously. Every person that chooses to work with me, I want to make sure that I can offer them a great living, job satisfaction. And so, just growing the team. And in addition to growing my office and growing my team, and constant restaffing, not only to accommodate the growth within my walls, but also I'm a very proud mentor, and I've developed some of my associates into partners. And so in the past 3 years, I've developed 3 partners. So what that means is they worked worked with me as an associate, and then we opened other practices together. And so that's hard, change is hard. And I've also developed other team members. I've had assistants who go into dental school, or dental hygiene school. And, I appreciate all the time that we have together, but eventually it means goodbye. And so then we have to restaff and, build a whole new culture around these new team members. But the reason that I'm okay with this turnover, because I consider it, number one, good turnover, but I've always believed in allowing my team members to pursue their highest passions. And I think because my team members know that I believe in them and I support them, that's how they're able to do their best work with me. So it's been super rewarding to watch. It's just difficult because we have to, find great talent, train them up, and then watch them graduate to do it all over again. But it's been a great system so far.
Yeah, and I applaud you for that because mentorship and culture is everything. It can make you or break you, and having a mentor is a huge, growth opportunity for anyone. One thing I did really love that you said is one of your proudest moments was, I believe, with one of your assistants. You said who you mentored and encouraged to pursue her career in hygiene. And then she came back to you to work for you as a hygienist. Is that right?
Yes, and that's one of that happened early on in my career. So my dental assistant, she actually was a dental assistant extern. So when you go to dental assisting school, you pick an externship so you can complete some real world, get some real world experience. And then she went to hygiene school after that, and we kept in touch ever since. And it's just such a privilege for her to decide to continue her career where it all first started with me. And so, that's just I feel like proof in the pudding. I don't know. I'm not really good with analogies, but like when you really support and believe in someone, they also want to help you and, chase my goals this time too, or we're chasing goals together. So it's really, really special.
Yeah, and often, it is true. What you give, you will get back in turn. Put goodness in, you'll get goodness out. So absolutely. Let's talk about the stress that comes with being a dentist owner and what impacts you most day to day and how you balance it. So based on what the podcast is about, outside the op, who are you outside of your practice? Who are you when you aren't being a dentist?
Sure. So I'm a mom, I'm a wife, and and although those are roles in itself, so I also like to remind myself I'm more than just a title, right? I'm Bianca. I'm a person. I love to work out. I like to have fun. I've been getting into cooking, and so I love being with my friends and family. So that's how, and you have to. I've learned because especially through all the changes and the growth and all the different stresses and pressures that I've been experiencing over the last couple years, it's so important to have things outside of the up that give you purpose, that fuels you, that reminds you like, yes, this too will pass. You have an angry patient or, like whatever, problem, drama that you're dealing with. It's like, okay, I'm more than just, like I said, my titles.
Yep. So let's touch on the importance of self-care because I'd like to know specifically how you make time for it and what that looks like for you.
So I've had to become very intentional with my schedule because if I didn't, I would be stuck at work all day or overfilling it with meetings and things like that. And so, just like I schedule a patient on my roster, I also schedule my workout, and it's on my calendar. And so every Wednesday, I meet with a trainer, and she's my accountability partner, which really helps, right? Just like you set goals professional goals, you have to do the same with your personal goals, right? So it's specific, measurable, and ways that you can hold yourself accountable. So I do that. I work out, and I do that once a week. And lately I've actually been way more consistent about at least doing it twice a week because that's my happy spot. I'm a former college athlete, so just being active is really important to me. But also, I mean, now that I have, one of the benefits of having grown my business and having a bigger team is that also now I can delegate and I have more doctors working with me. And so I have the luxury of being able to take a weekday off and adjusting my schedule. I think before having kids, I used to work really long days. I'd work 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. But, like I told you, I think before we started filming, working till 5 o'clock doesn't always mean you get out at 5 o'clock because I'm always doing my best to accommodate my patients. And sometimes you stay late. And so I've learned to cut back. And what's cool about that, right? Like, I minimize my schedule a little bit and I take Wednesdays off
Mhm.
from clinical so I can focus on admin and coaching and all of the other duties outside, that are required of me as a practice owner that are sometimes difficult to fulfill when you have your own patient schedule. So it's allowed me to be able to pursue both. But what's so amazing is that by taking control of my schedule and learning how to manage my time better, I haven't had to sacrifice any productivity.
That's huge. You did tell me that you're trying out like a new thing, the optimal clinic schedule. So that was a new phrase for me. If you want to, and I know it helps carve out time for what really matters outside your practice, but how does that work specifically?
Yeah. So as I mentioned, I like used to work just really long hours, 8 to 5, 9 to 6, 10 to 7. I always end up working through lunch somehow, or always end up staying a little bit later, whether it's for a patient or just to help coach or, like I said, do some administrative stuff. And so I've learned to just cut back some of my patient time so then I have that extra time for my team members or even, and I think this you can already see I'm falling into the trap of thinking that everything's about dentistry in my office. And I'm like, wait, I need to get home because having dinner is important for me and my family, or showing up for my kids' skate practice. That's important too. So, knowing that I'm not so exhausted or depleted by the end of the day, that I still have energy in the tank so I can be, my full self for my family. And so all I've done was just shave off a couple hours here and there, but it's made a very, very big difference in having that work-life balance and, helping me feel so much more at peace with everything.
That's awesome. Because it's so important to balance. You said you were a college athlete. What did you play?
I was a college rower. I was on the crew team.
Oh, cool.
I used to be a
Oh,
lot
you were in
buffer than I am
Boston.
now.
I'm sorry.
I used to be a lot buffer than I am now
Oh,
because you had to like,
you look pretty
is
buff
a
to
very,
me. But no, that's cool because Tufts in Boston, correct?
yeah. So, and then I got to row at Head of the Charles, which is just such a,
Yeah.
world-class event. So it was really a very typical Boston College experience. So I'm glad I got to, live through that.
That is so cool. So how did you end up at Tufts? Where are you from originally? Nevada?
No, actually. So I'm originally from New York.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So I was born and raised in New York. And when it came time to apply for colleges, I was looking for colleges that had an affiliation with a dental school. And so they would have these joint programs that you could apply to where it was like, you did 3 years of college and 4 years of dental school. So there were like these accelerated programs that I
Oh,
tried
okay.
applying to as early as high school. So fun fact is I actually got rejected from dental school 3 times
Um,
because I applied my senior year of high school for those joint programs I didn't get in. I applied my freshman year of college. So that's what landed me at Tufts undergrad because it was affiliated with Tufts Dental School and they had those joint degree programs. So then I applied my freshman year of college. I didn't get in. I applied again my sophomore year of college and I didn't get in. And so then I had to just apply as a regular candidate my junior, in between junior and senior year, like most, students do. And finally I got into Tufts Dental School, but I think they really, I through the years, I got to meet all of the administration and I think they really appreciated my tenacity that I
yeah.
never gave up, but because it forced me to work on myself and my shortcomings because some of my grades weren't the best, so rejection was good. It made me tougher.
That's a really awesome thing to share. Not everybody would want to talk about the shortcomings that they've had, but perseverance is huge. I tell my kids all through their life, one of the biggest things you can do is persevere through anything. It will help shape you as an adult and with everything that life throws you. So applaud you for that very much. And thank you for sharing that fun fact because we were going to transition to a few other ones. And you already mentioned one, you're learning to cook. But what I found really cool about that is how it connects you back to your family, your culture, your mom specifically, and kind of what you want to pass along to your family. So you want to talk a second about that?
Sure. So I'm very proud of my Filipino culture. And in our culture, food and family and God are like the top three things.
Mhm.
I don't know the particular order. Um, and so I just grew up and with the most delicious foods. My mom's such a great cook. And, being as driven as I am, like I knew I wanted to be a dentist as early as high school. So my head was just in the books. So I was just studying all the time from high school, college, dental school. And then even when I graduated, the next goal was practice ownerships. And I'm just growing my practice. And so, finding, now that I'm trying to find, myself again and like my work life balance, and I have the time to do so. And I've learned, as I reflect back on my upbringing, I realized, like, my mom's love language to us is cooking food,
Mhm.
and so that's how I love seeing my kids eat. It makes me so happy. Number one, they're just so adorable the way that, they pick at their food. But two, I think it just makes you feel so like proud that you can, set food on the table for your family. And so yeah, I wanted to dabble into providing them, cooking, so it's not just all like processed food or just takeout, or so and I wanted to also you know enjoy the time with my mom and create like bonding, because I know she's not going to be here forever, and I need to know all of her secret recipes,
You
so
do,
that way we can
yes.
pass it on. So I had actually made it my goal to learn how to cook my favorite Filipino dish by my birthday. Today's my birthday.
Are
So,
you kidding?
uh, yeah. And so
Well, happy birthday.
thank you.
I'm
And
so
so
sorry you had
I
to
was
do
like
this on your
running.
birthday.
Yeah, this is fun. This is fun for me. That to look how, look back on how far I've come and where I'm going. I think this is such a great way to spend my birthday. So I as a procrastinator, we finally cooked the dish on Sunday. So yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah.
Um, my love language to my family and anyone who knows me, my dear friends, is cooking. So
Cool.
I totally relate. And I get no more pleasure out of life than cooking something wonderful that everyone enjoys and watching them eat it. So
Yeah.
amen to that. Um, the other really cool thing I think, um, is your story about your husband. And we talked a little bit about that before we started recording today. But talk a little bit about, because that's, I don't know how many people know about your husband. He's a rock musician, but you toured with him one summer. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite stories. So, I met my husband when I was in dental school. He's originally from Boston, and he's in a rock band. It's called Crash Midnight. And, he had the opportunity to go on this big tour. And it was the summer break. And so we have summers off, but it just so happens that when he was scheduled to be on tour, we had one of the licensing exams. So luckily I was able to switch my licensing exam so I can go on tour with him. And I was their tour manager. It was me and five guys driving on a bus. And I wasn't meant to be the tour manager. I was just going for fun, but because I was the most responsible person on the bus, they deemed me the tour manager, and
Right.
which was good because I learned so much about music. I got to spend so much time with my husband. I have a deeper appreciation for the craft. And I got to see a different part of the country because I've never been through through the Midwest,
Mhm.
Nebraska, South Dakota, areas like that. And it created for the most fun memories, and I'm glad I can say that we experienced that, because now our life is a little bit more not as spontaneous now that we have kids.
Yeah, well, it happens. But what a unique way to get to know somebody, decide that that's who you want to be with and spend your life with and become a parent with. And yeah, it's a pretty cool story, especially since you were the most responsible one.
Yeah.
Um, so who do you admire outside of dentistry?
I admire my parents. As I mentioned, I mean, they left their family behind in the Philippines. My dad was an engineer in the Philippines. He left his career behind to come to America and, start a family and, you know, from scratch. And I'm sure, I can only imagine the hardships that they endured not being from here, but look, they made it. And they instilled such great values in me and my sister that I'll never forget. The work ethic that we have, obviously the importance of family. And I'm just really thankful for their sacrifice and the love that they've shown us, because I wouldn't be here without them.
Yeah, and it is an amazing story, one that we, can't really imagine unless you go through it. Um, I ask every doctor I interview what's your greatest regret in life, and I will say I was amazed at your answer, and I loved it, um, because you said, "I don't believe in regrets." That every decision you've made throughout your life and every lesson you've learned has landed you here, and that you're good. This is exactly where you need to be, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't like the word regret. Of course, I have a lot of moments that I'm very embarrassed of, maybe maybe I should have chosen differently, but I needed to learn that lesson, and I needed to go through that hardship. So I believe whenever one door closes, another one's opens, or and exactly like you pointed out in that quote, like, I'm meant to be here. And if maybe I changed a decision way back when, I wouldn't be here. So I really believe in that, and I just like to keep on moving forward rather than look backwards.
Do you have any kind of ending advice for other dentists that watch the interview that you want to leave them with, especially from your phase of life, your phase of practice ownership, and just where you are in general?
Yeah. I if I can leave you with one advice, would be, um make sure that you take care of yourself. As you can hear me throughout the interview, and I'm like, we're so passionate, it almost becomes obsessive with dentistry, our patients, our practice, our team, the outcomes. And then, you know, we forget about serving ourselves. And even then, like, the people who help get us there. So, making sure that we take care of our friends, our family, and nurture our passions outside of dentistry. And that's why, like, I'm just so happy that you brought me on this podcast. Like I said, best way to spend my birthday, just to highlight like what is important, and that you can have a great career, but also without sacrificing, all the things that make you you. So yeah.
Yep. We always talk about self-care and the fact that, we hear it all when we travel, but the whole deal when you're on a plane and you hear, if something happens and the oxygen mask falls, you got to put yours on first before you can take care of your family or people sitting around you. And that is 100% true. It comes up organically in most of these conversations that I have, because it really is a great metaphor for what we need to be doing for ourselves. You can't take care of all of your patients, your team, the business, be an entrepreneur, push the envelope, expand, and then still go back to doing what you love, doing the dentistry. So I am so thankful to have you on today. And also, I apologize for you having to do this for your birthday, but I'm really glad that you did. And you're right. We get to elevate you and celebrate you today of all days. And I think that's awesome. So back to your point on regrets, I think you are exactly where you need to be, Bianca. You're awesome. And I cannot
Thank you.
thank you so much for joining me, sharing part of your story, talking about your family, and sharing part of your personal self with your peers. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Paula. I can't wait to share this story with everyone else. So
Yeah, with very much gratitude and in wellness. Thanks again for joining me, and we'll see you next time on Outside the Up. Thanks so much for spending a few minutes with us. I think talking to colleagues about their approach to life and career always leaves me inspired to think broadly and differently, and I hope it does for you too. If you'd like to be featured for a future episode of Outside the Op, click the link in the show notes below and let us know about your thing. And hey, while you're there, leave your comments, please, and don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons so we can stay connected. I'm Paula Parker from The Profitable Dentist. Go do your thing and be well.